Hey, backcountry.church, I would love to continue the conversation on who are we? Who is backcountry.church? Recently, I saw somebody post, where is backcountry.church and how can I find it? Like, in there lies part of the issue of the English language. And what I'd like to do in just a couple minutes here is explain something you may not have been familiar with. So we use the word church, and it's the only word that describes a religious gathering. You could say congregation or assembly or something like that, but really church is the word that we use in English. So the Greek word, when Jesus said, I will build my ecclesia, it's Greek. And it literally means the called out ones, the called out ones. It can mean a assembly or gathering, but it's referring to the people. The ecclesia are those who have been called out, are Christ followers, or are finding their way back to God, or exploring that option. And unfortunately for our history, something terrible happened around 300 AD. The Goths, their Germanic tribe, took the word kirch, and put it in place of ecclesia. And this means house of lords, or a location, or a building. And over those years, the word kirch was transliterated to church. And over the first 300 years after that, the whole concept of ecclesia got changed to a location. How completely tragic. Try explaining church without referring to an address, and it's almost impossible. You really can't. Are you going to church? Have you been at church? Oh, I thought you were going to be in church. Well, there's an address associated with that. And that is not what Jesus built. That is not his body. It is not a location. It is not an address. So backcountry.church, and I'll continue with for a second, but let me just mention, backcountry.church is not a brick and mortar church, nor is it an online church that mimics a brick and mortar church or gathering or fellowship. It's not even a house church. But not to be confused, can backcountry.church happen in a building? Yes. It can happen at a trail. It can happen backpacking. It can happen on a ski slope. It can happen in your living room. Because the Greek word couldn't be even more clear. It is the called out ones. There is no relationship with ecclesia to a building, the idea of a physical gathering. Ecclesia refers, now in lies the problem. When we talk about backcountry.church, we immediately think, oh, where's the address of it? So what happened way back in about 300 AD is in the era of Constantine and after that, before long, buildings were built, and whoever controlled the buildings controlled the gathering, the church. And back then, they controlled the government. And before long, it turned insider. It was all about politics and bureaucracy, paganism, immorality, and it became bureaucratic. And none of this had even a hint of the ecclesia that Jesus said, I will build my ecclesia and the gates of hell will not prevail. So, we'll talk more about this, but I wanted for you to digest this, maybe ask questions. That when we're talking about ecclesia, which is a far better word than the word church, that's probably what we should use. But for now, it's backcountry.church. Hey, we'll talk soon more about this very subject of who are we?